YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and I wanted to talk through some news we got. Now, I will have a link in the description to the blog on TotalWar.com where you can go and get all the details, because I'm going to be summarizing a little bit. And I've got some nice battle footage here in the background. This is from our early Immortal Empires battles build, so that you can have something cool to hear and see in the background. So, they went through a wide variety of changes to different races that are coming in Immortal Empires, and I feel like that these deserve some coverage. So I'm going to try and make a video and cover them individually rather than having one massive video with way too much information. I'll have some shorter ones that are a little easier to digest. Now, let's jump right into it. Today's topic is the vampire counts. And in the background, you can see I have them fighting up against the forces of Grand Cathay. I think this is going to be a fun matchup between these two factions. Now, the big headline that they're changing for the vampire counts is that free skeleton armies are gone. Now, CA tells us that we'll still have ways to make up for that, and making them very cheap still, but they won't be free. And now, the way that this is going to change things is that because previously the strategy a lot had to do with making just tons of armies of free skeletons and using those to help overwhelm things, especially with like Wind of Death. So you'd spam out the free skeletons, you'd use the Wind of Death to get the damage done. So what they're wanting to do is change things up a bit, and in order to make up for the loss of the free skeletons, they added some across-the-board balance changes to the vampire roster. A lot of leadership increases to most units. They adjusted ethereal units, and the ability now for the vampire counts is there to recruit Morn Ghouls in campaign if you own the Vampire Coast DLC. They also improved the Raise the Dead pools, and now you're going to get better units by default, and that's going to scale up with the Vampiric Corruption, which means that you're not quite as reliant on those giant body heaps from previous battles. And then also they're going to reshuffle around the recruitment buildings, making it to where you can recruit units a little earlier and more easily, because they're going to need access to their deeper roster in order to compete with some of these other factions. Further, they revamped the tech tree and the skill tree and the bloodlines effect to give the race access to powerful new effects, such as increased healing caps and extra winds of magic. So the kinds of things that will make the vampires far more powerful and far more scary. Now, also, as far as individual lord changes, you already know in the dedicated faction blog that came out previously that Vlad and Isabella are going to be into one faction, and that when you choose one as the legendary lord, the other becomes a legendary hero, and it's going to be available that way in multiplayer, and in fact, both of them are present in this battle you all are watching in the background. They've moved Manfred down to the Southlands. He's going to be seeking the Unholy Books of Nagash, so it gives you something new to do with Manfred. He also has received an increased magic reserve, which for Manfred, he already had a rather big one, so that'll be exciting. And his Master of the Black Arts ability now boosts his spell mastery by 25%, so that's going to be really cool. Helman Gorse was moved to the Haunted Forest, and to complement that, he actually is going to start the campaign now mounted on his corpse cart, and he can get skills that enhance his aura abilities. It's going to make his faction-wide buffs to zombies, and it's going to be powerful buff to zombies. Now that's interesting because zombies are such a weak unit, so I'm curious to see how they implement that. So basically, it's going to give you, as they say here, the ability to drown the world in rotting flesh while watching from the back of your sweet ride. He's the legendary lord for you. Those are CA words, not my own. And then they go on to say, Kimmler has also upped his game. Krell will now be a permanent summon by default, while Kimmler's skill tree serves to supercharge his combat stats. Now that's very exciting for Kimmler as well, to be able to have Krell come in for a long time. So those are some really nice updates to the vampire counts. It sounds like, in my opinion, the vampire counts are going to be getting considerably stronger from where they were in both multiplayer and in campaign. And the reason I say multiplayer is because of the fact that you can combine Vlad and Isabella now in a single battle, and you've got access to units that now have leadership improvements and some other changes. So I've played the vampires once so far in the Immortal Empires build, and it was against the Ogre Kingdoms, and I think you all saw that battle. I really did not feel like the vampires had a very difficult time overcoming in that battle. So I do feel like that the vampire counts are going to be a powerful faction and a force to be reckoned with in Immortal Empires. And not only that, they're going to be a lot of fun to play and have some very nice variety because of the bloodlines and the different start locations, the Books in the Gash thing with Manfred. Should be a lot of fun. So I'm very much looking forward to vampire counts in Game 3, and I hope you all are as well. I think a lot of people like vampire counts. Looking back at Total War Warhammer 1, one of my most viewed videos of all time on my YouTube channel is actually my very first episode of Vampire Counts campaign. So, I don't know, maybe it needs to return. Hopefully y'all enjoy it still. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll be back with some more news on the different updates to races very soon, and I will see you then.